Hey y'all, how are my fellow nerds? I hope you're having a great day and all is well. Today is Friday. It's been kind of a stressful week, but I got something special this week. I got a prize from a listener on one of my longest, worst days ever. I'm kind of going through, I'm having to go in and out of court this week. It's kind of a long story. Maybe I'll do if I get enough people who ask me hey, what's going on? Maybe I'll do a podcast about it and kind of from start to finish. But anyways, on one of my longest days, on the bad days, I came home and I got a prize from a listener. He wants to remain anonymous, but I want him to know that I love it. I appreciate it. You picked the right one. It looks perfect in my room. And, yeah, you nailed it. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much I'm going to love this and appreciate this, forever. I also have an upgrade. I upgraded my desk. I have an actual desk. I had a fold-up table for the longest time as my desk, and it was just terrible. I'm just marking things off of my podcast wish list right now, and a desk was one of them. I'm going to be getting a chair, but it's not going to be delivered till next week, which sucks, but whatever. This desk has a cup holder, and it has a hook for my headphones, and so talk about an upgrade. It's big pimpin', y'all. I am big pimpin'. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much. You have no idea how much I love and appreciate every single one of you. I think of ways to show my love for all of you, and I think I came up with one, so stick around. I'm about to tell you what it is. If you are new to my podcast, welcome. Thank you so much for checking out my little podcast. It means a lot to me that you took the time to check it out. If you could subscribe, follow, review on whatever platform you are listening to, that would make a big difference. It would make a big help. So here's how I'm going to help you guys out. Old listeners and new listeners. This podcast is technically brought to you by Ballcat Buddy. It's a sponsor, but not a sponsor, because I'm not sponsored by them. But I got a coupon code just in time for Father's Day. Go to ballcatbuddy.com. In case if you guys don't know what a Ballcat Buddy is, it's a plastic cage. You stick your hand in it, and you wash it in the washing machine or the dishwasher, and it keeps its shape. You wash it and it doesn't get all floppy and weird and gross and whatever. So you can keep that hat, that's your favorite hat, longer, instead of getting it all dirty and just throwing it away. So anyways, you go to ballcatbuddy.com, you use the code NERD, and get 10% off and free shipping. They have combo packs where you buy 2 or 3. So you can buy a combo pack, keep one for yourself, and give the other ones as gift for Father's Day. If you have a dad that has a whole bunch of hats or is a hat lover, boom! Father's Day taken care of, y'all. You're welcome. Dang. I am a rebel podcast without an intro, so here it is. You are listening to the Nerd in Texas podcast, the show that brings you useless information about movies, TV shows, and video games that you might love or that you've never heard of. I am literally a nerd in Texas, and I am your hostess, Chanel Fortney. Today, my podcast is going to be a little different. Today, my podcast is going to be about the most underrated, unappreciated, and unloved, and a whole bunch of other unwords. A comedy series on Netflix called Teenage Bounty Hunters. Now, I know what you're thinking. Teenage Bounty Hunters? That sounds so stupid. And let me tell you, it's not. This show is so funny, and it is so good. I can't even put it in words what it is, but it sounds cheesy, it sounds stupid. Even I felt that when I heard about it and someone told me about it, and I was like, what? Teenage Bounty Hunters? It sounds so dumb. But It's amazing, and I am going to dive right into it, and I'm going to slap you with that IMDb, okay? Because IMDb says... Oh, and another thing. Keep in mind, this show has got a lot of feminine sexuality in it. It's got these two girls who are in, like, a religious Bible school setting, and they're kind of, like, exploring their sexuality, like, in this Bible school type thing. Some of the content, like, some of it is just, like, hilarious, and it's so funny. And it even has some, like, girl on... Did you guys hear that? I don't know if you can hear that or not. I'm gonna play that back and see if I can hear that. Hold on, 1 second. That was totally, like, a big thing of thunder, and I should have kept recording because it, like, went forever, and it, like, shook my house. It was so, like, crazy. But anyways... So they're exploring their sexuality, and it's just the way they do it is funny. There's also kind of some lesbian girl-on-girl scenes. I'm just giving that warning because I know it makes some people uncomfortable. Me, personally, it doesn't make me uncomfortable. I just wanted to put it out there before I tell you to watch this, and you're like, what the heck? Like, she didn't tell me this isn't here. I don't want to watch this because, believe it or not, there are people out there who are like that. And I'm not saying you are, but I'm just giving you a warning. I'm just giving you a heads up. It's not rated R, but it is rated TVMA. So, here we go. Here's IMDb. After joining forces with a veteran bounty hunter, 16-year-old fraternal twin sisters Sterling and Blair dive into the world of bail-skipping baddies while still navigating the high stakes of teenage life. I totally started that. Like, I totally nailed that. Like, I should be one of those people, you know, that are like, in a world. Okay, maybe not like that, but you get what I'm saying. So it starts with the girls going home in their dad's truck, and they get hit by a guy running from a bounty hunter, and at first they're like, oh no, not Dad's truck. He doesn't know we took his truck, and now it's damaged, and I'm freaking out. Well, the bounty hunter catches up with them and thinks that they're bounty hunters, and so he's like, hey, that's my bounty, and whatever, and they're like, what? But then he starts talking about splitting the money, and they're like, what? Money? So... It's actually, like, a really hilarious scene. I'm not doing a good job of, like, describing it at all, but they play it off like they're bounty hunters when they really aren't. They're just high school girls. And because they plan on fixing their dad's truck without their dad knowing, they're like, okay, let's make the money from this bounty and use it to fix Dad's truck so he doesn't know, so we're not in trouble. So that's how, boom, thus teenage bounty hunters is born. That's how they become bounty hunters. So the sisters are like real life sisters, like their real life sister relationship. They're total opposites of each other. I know my daughters, like one's 13, one's 11, and they are complete opposites of each other. Sterling Wesley, played by Maddie Phillips, she's like the perfect one and getting good grades and doing all the clubs and becoming the president of all the clubs and stuff. So she's that type of person. But she portrays like she's perfect, but is actually kind of not and is a total rebel. And you see some of the things, like the trouble that she gets into. Blair Wesley is the twin sister, played by, and, well, they're fraternal twins. They're not, like, identical twins, obviously. But Blair Wesley is played by Angelica Fellini, and she is more the rebellious one. Like, she comes off as the rebellious one and the crazy one, but she's super smart, and she likes to play the girl of the bad girl with a bad reputation, but in reality, she's not. She doesn't. It's just, you know, it's funny how they are the opposite of each other, but they're also the opposite of what they like to be portrayed as. It's kind of hard. It's kind of explain. But she just lives life the way she wants to. She gives 0 Fs, and she is totally my favorite, especially with this one breakup scene when she breaks up with her boyfriend. It's just hilarious. And so even if you watch the show and you just watch that one breakup scene, Okay, maybe not just that one breakup scene, but it's funny. You guys need to watch it. If y'all haven't noticed, I'm totally struggling with this podcast today, but bear with me. I love you guys, and I know you guys are like, so? But anyways, this show, they are underage, so they can't actually be bounty hunters. So they get help from a veteran bounty hunter, and his name is Bowser. Amazing. His name is Bowser, and they label themselves as interns so they don't get in trouble for being bounty hunters when they are totally, underage bounty hunters. They go against their southern religious community. Bowser is a bounty hunter who also owns a yogurt shop. So they use a job at the yogurt shop as a front for what they're actually doing. Hey nerds, you know I love helping you out. So I'm giving you a little tidbit on if you were wanting to start a podcast, I highly suggest you start it with Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast, and let me explain. 1, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Now, there's more thunder. Should I wait and see if my house rumbles? So this is why the show is completely underrated and unloved and unappreciated. Even though they were on Netflix's top 10 list for a few weeks, even though it's insanely hilarious and good, it got the axe. Netflix canceled the show. I have a really bad habit of watching something and getting totally into it, and it gets canceled after the first season. Like, this isn't the first time this has happened to me. Like, before I did this podcast, I knew, like, I could probably go through Netflix and find a whole bunch of shows. And I wish I totally had a list of all the shows that I've watched where it, like, left me on cliffhangers and then got canceled. Like, come on, Netflix. You're killing me, Smalls. You gotta stop doing this to me. So, what I've been able to find is that Netflix is giving the axe to a lot of shows because, 1, it was hard to film due to COVID. It was, COVID didn't help a lot of things, and making shows and movies were one of them. I also read that Netflix is trying not to rely on American-made shows / films, and is trying to get into more foreign shows and films. I think that's, like, hurting them. Like, I think that's doing good for them and hurting them at the same time, because I don't know if y'all remember, but Netflix got into a lot of controversy and hot water when they tried to release that movie. It was about, like, all those, like, 12-year-old girls, like, twerking. That was actually a French film. Like, everyone was flipping out and was like, oh my god, 12-year-olds twerking, which I get it. I totally get it. Like, in a way, French films and all that, they cuss. They're naked in a lot of them, and it's just different for other people, and they don't get it. So, having more foreign films, I love watching them. I love watching foreign films and stuff. Some people might not like it. I don't know. Like, you never know, I guess. But that's from what I've heard. That's what I've found out. More shows like the Ozarks are ending after this next season, which is Ozarks is an amazing show if you guys haven't seen it before. But another thing that bothers me right now, like, I get it, you want to make more room for movies and shows and stuff like that, but they're ending shows like Ozarks and Teenage Bounty Hunters that only got 1 season, but Teenage Bounty Hunters was in the top 10 for a long time. But keeping shows like Emily in Paris. Like, what's so special about that show? It's about Emily who went to Paris, who's like a social media influencer. Not my type of show, but like I said, I'm not a TV show critic. I'm not a movie critic, so they're not going to listen to me. So that is my small podcast for today. Sorry I struggled a little bit. I got this weird, like, stuff to, like, put in my room, and it's, like, sage and citrus, and it's, like, this charcoal sage citrus thing, and it, like, made my throat close up. Like, I don't know. Was the sage, like, trying to exorcise the demon that's in me and made my throat close up? I don't know. But anyways, thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for listening to me struggle. I know I already said that. If you're wanting something fun and hilarious, full of action and adventure, then this show is the show for you. Watch Teenage Bounty Hunters. It's just hilarious. I encourage you to watch it, even though it has one season. Watch it before they take it off of Netflix. Maybe send it some love. Give it some lovin's. Alright, so for future episodes, I'll be talking about The Quiet Place Part 1. And then Alamo Drafthouse invited me to see The Quiet Place Part 2. But I haven't seen Part 1 first, so I gotta watch that. And I'll be doing a podcast about Cruella when I see that also. But before I totally sign off, I have two little special friends. The girls are home from school today.
Because summer is
So
school sucks.
Lily is here, so she's going to say hi.
Hi, I'm with my best friend.
And then her best friend is here because her parents went to go do something that she didn't want to go to do. So I was like, drop her off. It'll be fun.
My other family.
Yep, we're her second family. They live like 2 minutes from my house. So
I see her like every day.
Yeah, I text her mom, and I'm like, I'm not home, but you can drop her off. The girls are home. So, yeah.
We had Panda Express.
We had Panda Express for lunch.
I had pancakes for breakfast. I almost ate the whole box, but we only have 2 more packets.
Of course you did.
I saved it for Menagerie for the morning. My mom did not know this.
So I think they're planning on having a sleepover and got a TV for Lily so they can watch movies in her room.
Yeah, I always sleep in her room, aka like 24/7. It's like newbie, I guess, like a nerd. I'm a nerd.
Alright, so they are now in the living room playing Minecraft, so that's going to be a sign for me to sign off of here. If you have anything you want me to talk about on my podcast, I have commissions on my Ko-fi page, such as you picking what I talk about. $1, you can ask me any question, and I will answer it here on my podcast. If it's an inappropriate question, I will answer it privately and talk to you about it in private, but won't answer it here. I also do shout-outs, stuff like that. Thank you for joining me on this podcast, the Nerd in Texas podcast. Make sure you visit my website. I'm actually working on my website. I'm not happy with it and kind of not happy with GoDaddy, but it's still up and running until I get something else done. Like I said, I'm working on it. Visit nerdintexas.com. You can subscribe to the show, see my episodes, notes as, my blog. You can find me on all my platforms such as iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, so you'll never miss a show. If you enjoyed my podcast and you'd like to help support my podcast, you can go to my Ko-fi page, leave a tip in my virtual tip jar, and any tip you leave, doesn't matter if it's $1, you'll get exclusive content and an invite to my Discord server. Until then, peace out, nerds.